My name is Amy, I'm a school librarian in Cardiff, and these are my 5 top tips to make your school library more representative. So my first tip is to really get to know your collection. This was crucial when I took over my school library, which was in desperate need of weeding and evaluation. When I was assembling my first display for the library for Black History Month, getting to grips with what I presently had in the collection was vital, as it allowed me to see not just what I already had, but also what was missing. From this, I found a distinct lack of items by and about Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities, and even less by and about those who identify as LGBTQ+. I don't think this was malicious or anything. I just think the library needed to bring it into the 21st century and needed to be representative of the school population as well as the surrounding areas. Cardiff is a beautifully multicultural city, and I think it's important that spaces like libraries, especially school libraries, are reflective of this. I think we can sometimes forget just how important and impactful that can be to both children and pupils and our colleagues. So know what was here and what was not presented me with the opportunity to stock the collection with items that were reflective of the school, which brings me on to tip number 2. My second tip is to stock a wide range of items that will be representative. And what I mean by that is stock fiction items that feature characters and by authors who may be Black, Asian, minority, ethnic, LGBTQ+, and also stock non-fiction items by and about these communities. For example, stock items that tell the history of a culture in a sensitive and respectful way from a modern perspective and by someone who knows that culture. Stock items related to physical and mental health, for example, that address certain people in particular. These could be well-being books specifically aimed at those identifying as LGBTQ+, or they may have been diagnosed as being on the autistic spectrum, or both. There's some really good content to be found out there that you can add to your library shelves and which could be really beneficial to your library patrons, even if it's just seeing themselves represented on a book cover in some way. I know that just seeing these titles has had a really positive impact on my friend and colleague within the school, and seeing that it makes her feel good makes me feel really good too. So speaking of displaying books, my third tip is to have an awareness and understanding of significant calendar events that may be important to various ethnicities and communities. Again, Black History Month was the first display that I did in my second month at the school here, and some feedback that I had from a colleague was that the library was the only place outwardly marking the month at the school, with the display dedicated to Black History Month and the items that the library had relating to it. Now, I did what I could with the display. I had no proper display materials, and I do feel that it looked a bit ropey because of this. But what matters is the effort, and making the effort to mark an occasion can go a lot further with users than you might think. A small display that I did marking Eid went an enormous way with a former sixth form pupil who said that she was thrilled to see Eid being noted and that she wasn't used to seeing this outside her home and her community. I've also put up the Progress Pride flag from my recent Pride display for June as a permanent fixture within the library. I've done this to try and demonstrate that LGBTQ+ representation is a year-round thing, not just for Pride. And this is crucial for the pupils who may see the library as a safe space, as a sanctuary. I want them to know that this is a safe haven all year long, and I wear my badge that says Safe With Me as an expression of solidarity with them as an ally. So on that thought, my fourth tip is to highlight but don't isolate. So I discussed this with a colleague who identifies as part of the LGBTQ+ community, and we're in agreement that it's great to highlight or spotlight items for a display, raising awareness of the library items. But when they're on the shelves, they should be part of the overall collection and not isolated to a specialised section. So it may be well intended, but by placing these items in separate, dedicated spaces, we can still be isolating these items and making them appear separate from the broader collection. Now, bearing in mind that we want our library spaces to be reflective of our clientele, separating collections of books that are representative of a group of people would not be ideal, nor is it reflective of the message that we want to get across to our patrons, which is that libraries are spaces for everyone. It's a small, subtle thing, but again, it's something we deem simple could be huge to somebody else. So my fifth and final tip is to be open to conversation. So as school librarians, we're often working in small teams, or like myself, with the sole worker within the library, and so by default we're customer facing. Making an effort to be open with our users can help to reinforce that our libraries are safe spaces for them, and this could be through small changes such as data collection inclusivity. For example, giving options for answers and not limiting it to, for example, binary answers like male or female. Making an effort with something like pronouns can go a long way. Adding them to something like your email signature helps to normalise pronouns, and it shows solidarity with those who may feel the need to specify their own pronouns. As well as that, if you have a pupil, for example, who may be exploring their identity and they may have changed their name or their pronouns or both, do make the effort to learn their new name and their new pronouns. In my experience, it's been okay to ask. Generally, they'd rather you sort of ask them, what are your pronouns, rather than you guess and get it wrong. Now, as well as that, I feel it's important to continue to use that name and those pronouns, even if you're in conversation with others who aren't that individual in question. Do continue to use it. These pupils may or may not be having support at home for this change in their life. So the least we can do is provide a safe space for them within school where they can be themselves. So additionally, if you have the opportunity to do so, see if you can work with any groups within your school. We have an inclusivity society here who come and have their meetings in the library, and it's run by the students and they're just brilliant. But they feel safe in here to have those meetings, and they can access any resources that they might need. We also set up a display table here for the society, and they like to spotlight, again, calendar events in the year and show resources or items or books related to them. And it's been the likes of Chinese New Year, Transgender Awareness Week, Holi, World Autism Awareness Day, so many more. But they're fantastic, and it's really great to work with them and get their feedback and hear their voices. It's really rewarding to get to work with them and see what they come up with in their work. It was great. So those are my 5 top tips for making your school library more representative. I hope they're helpful for anyone working in any kind of library. Representation is so important, and we can always keep learning and improving our services for everyone who wants to use them. Thanks for watching.